I would like to thank you for taking out time speaking to us on NewsX World and sharing your perspective on these very crucial developments. But viewers, with that, we shift our focus away from the Middle East towards the war raging between Russia and Ukraine. We're now learning that Russian forces have nearly encircled Ukrainian troops near Ambaronye in Kharkiv region. In fact, a military expert, Andrei Marochko, has stated that Russian troops need to advance a mere 1.5 kilometers to complete the encirclement. Ukrainian soldiers, meanwhile, are holding the strategic settlement. Russian troops have also gained new positions near Khatneye and Otradnoye after successful raids. Now, in the past 24 hours, Russian attacks killed at least 9 civilians and injured 15 more across multiple regions. Ukrainian air defenses intercepted most Shahid-type drones, but some struck their targets. Power infrastructure, especially in Chernihiv, remains hit, leaving thousands without electricity. With us on the broadcast is Major General G.G. Dwivedi, senior defense expert and geopolitical analyst, joining us from New Delhi. Thank you for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. In fact, earlier in the day, we had heard some very strong statements, even as the Russian army is advancing on the ground. We had heard the Russian President Vladimir Putin, in fact, hail this operation, terming it a righteous battle. And he's also stated that the nation is behind the troops. Interestingly, such strongly worded statements are coming after Trump's 180-degree, the U-turn in his approach towards the war, in his clear backing of Zelensky. We've seen the statements he's made at the dais at the UNGA as well, claiming that Ukraine can take back the territories that have been annexed by Russia. There's also a deal that is being discussed between Ukraine and the US officials regarding Tomahawk missiles. Do you think the very public statement that Donald Trump has made, this further new deal that is being discussed, has contributed to these strong statements that Putin has made?
Well, Pia, thank you. The war actually fought on two planes. One is, of course, on the battlefield, and second is on the political domains or the political war rooms. So this is exactly what we are seeing on the ground and also on the political domain. Firstly, you had mentioned about the ground operations. Yes, the Russians are making every effort to gain tactical advantage on the ground, and even a kilometer or plus advance is taken as a victory. And that's how the tactical battles are fought. And even President Putin is appreciating these small-scale maneuvers. But nonetheless, these are coming at very heavy cost because front lines are more or less static, well fortified, and any effort to breach the front line is actually cost prohibitive. Point number one. Point number two, you also talk about Tomahawk missiles. These are the surface-to-surface missiles which can hit deep, almost 1,500 to 2,500 kilometers. And bid have been made to America to supply the missile. It is to be seen whether America does supply, because this will change the strategic balance, means Ukraine will have the ability to hit quite deep. Now, coming to the political domain, you see, somehow President Putin feels that he is winning this war, but not realizing a very heavy tactical price is being paid in terms of the human effort to gain make very small gains. On the other side, yes, President Trump has changed his stance after he got frustrated because the talks in Alaska with Putin have made no headway, and he is now taken a position that America will help out Ukraine even to retrieve the lost territory. Almost 20% Ukraine territory have been lost to the Russians. So, as I said, the battle is being fought on the two domains. On the ground, Russians are making every effort to make some tactical gains, and on the political arena, I think America has now backing Ukrainians and President Zelensky. Of course, Europeans also are in the fray because they have been violation of the airspace of the European nations, especially Poland and Estonia, and this has brought the European nations together to relook at the defensive posture and their security concern vis-à-vis Russia's expansionist design. Pia.
Indeed, sir. And speaking of the warfare on the ground, we've recently seen an increase in hybrid warfare, in particular with reconnaissance drones being launched from tanks. We've also, in fact, discussed the incursions that have taken place in Lithuania, Romania, in Poland as well. Ukraine too, in fact, claimed that Hungarian drones were, in fact, monitoring certain critical infrastructure along the border. However, NATO at large is exercising caution. In your assessment, why is NATO not towing the line? Is it because they don't want to be embroiled in a hot war with Russia?
Absolutely, Pia, because NATO doesn't want to get into confrontation directly with Russia, because that means a very serious escalation. At the same time, NATO is also giving a strong message that in case such violations continue, then there will be a response. So therefore, the effort is to deter Russia not undertake any further misadventures, but at the same time, their responses are very calibrated and they are very restrained for the simple reason that they don't want this conflict to escalate beyond a particular limit, because that will not be in the interest of Europe at large. And the next point is that why is Russia doing all this? Possibly Russia is testing the will of the European nations, the NATO, how well they are consolidated, what will be the response in case there is a certain amount of escalation. Now, this is exactly what the Russia is doing. So the point you have rightly made is that as far as NATO is concerned, their response will be very calibrated and very restrained, despite the provocation from Russia, because to escalate the war to any further level is not in the interest of NATO nations per se. So I think that this game of restraint and calibrated responses by NATO will continue in the face of provocations from Russian side. Yeah.
All right, sir. With that, I'd like to thank you for taking